Welcome back to the Section 101 podcast. This is feels like the first time I can say welcome back without anything changing. But I'm glad we have a strong base now to work from. And without further ado, let's get into what we're going to go through today. The painful 2023 San Diego Padres tragedy. How the hell did that happen? And how will that change? Well, actually, first off, I do want to say that yes, the podcast has been renamed, rebranded, and that's how it's going to be. That's just, for those who might not know, the Section 121. That's where last year and the year before that, every single time I'd buy single game tickets, I'd buy them in 121 because that was the best pricing. The best price to vision seat where you're sitting. There were some steals over there, and that was we would always sit there. We found super awesome people sitting there, and it was kind of just where I grew a love for Padres. So I thought I'd honor it by naming my podcast after it. And yes, so now we can get into last season's collapse. Unfortunately, not really like a collapse. Honestly, it was more like whatever an inverse collapse is. It started off already collapsed, and it kind of came back together, but too slow. The biggest thing, stats flying around everywhere in my face, I couldn't get enough of them, are terrible clutch and hitting with runners in scoring position, third, stranding runners, everything in the book involving not hitting clutch. That was what we just did not hit people in, and we were all hitting, obviously, Machado, injuries down here. Bogart started off hot, but Tatis wasn't there for the first part of the year. Cronenworth a little slow, Kim slow start, and Soto very slow start. Sorry, I forgot about that, but Soto's terrible sub 200 start. Those were all tough, but even when they started getting those up, it was just we can't hit people in when they're on base. And as a fan, it's hard to watch. It was really, really hard to watch. It was wait, we're really, really good, and we're hitting the ball, just we're not doing it when it matters. And did I mention 0-12 record in extra innings games? 0-12. 0-12. The Padres are in the playoffs if they're even they're in the playoffs last season, even if they're 500. And if they're 6-6 in extra inning games, they're in the playoffs last year. That's crazy to me. I don't know what level of poor chemistry you need to just not get a single win, and that was crazy. And I've got to look this one up. Single one-run games. Padres record in one-run games, 2023. Oh, it's not going. Yeah, I forgot. Fascinating. Padres record in games. 10 and 28 in one-run games, and 10 and 28 in one-run games, and that's combined partially, but with the 0-12 in extra innings. You're not gonna you have to be so good, so powerful. They almost needed to be even more powerful than they were, or at least were supposed to be, to overcome a 10 and 28 in one-run games. That's just crazy. And that kind of leads into the next point, that they didn't have chemistry really. Soto, talking about after the Mariners series, they just gave up. Guys weren't running, guys were kind of barking at each other, wasn't much camaraderie. Was not pretty. It got a lot better on the stretch with There's like I'll get into a little bit. Jerks and Profar, Gary Sanchez being picked up, and another one was it's kind of ironic we did bring in Gary Sanchez, but at the beginning of the season they focused way too much on just power, hitting home runs. We're gonna lead the league in home runs because we're the best offense in the league, and we're gonna blow everybody off the turf. So we had the lowest ERA by any starting pitching staff combined, and we somehow didn't really do that. And so why are our home run numbers up, but our averages were so low? It just didn't make sense. Like why we would just swing for so much power. Like that's just something that's just something I wanted to see them let, Tatis, Machado, Soto just go for. And I mean, obviously, other players can hit home runs, but there was just too much focus on everybody just having belted over the wall, and I blame that on the signings of the DH combo of Carpenter and Nelson Cruz. I think they were both they both were so power focused, and another guy, Cronenworth, was just like taking hacks out of his socks all day. That was crazy. And yeah, it was the offense's fault. Everybody thinks that, the Padres pitchers must have been terrible. Like, no. The Padres are the best pitching staff. Like, they're the best statistically, thanks to Blake Snell. But we had the lowest ERA out of any starters combined. It's crazy. So it was the offensive fault. The offense that might have been the best in decades was their fault. Anyways, I'm trying not to get emotional at my angers from last year. But anyways, second half resurgence. Obviously didn't make the playoffs, fell a little short, but the chemistry really, really improved. Guys looked happy playing together, thanks to some big moments that were clutch moments, like Tatis's super bat flip, whatever it was, all that stuff. Sanchez grand slam. We started hitting grand slams again, and so I think Snell's Cy Young campaign also helped, and signing Gary Sanchez was a big lift to the catcher, because we weren't really expecting much. Like, we weren't expecting much out of our catcher position offensively, but when we could get the same average just with 12, 15 home runs, something like that, really, really huge Gary Sanchez. So, and then the return of Campusano really, really made us dangerous, because now we had Sanchez at DH. Campusano was a solid catcher, offensive catcher, and he was hitting over 300 since he came back, and it was huge. Campusano was doing Jake Cronenworth's job for him. Offensively, he was just doing his job for him, pretty much. That's at least what it looked like. He was just, he was making such good contact. He was hitting for power too. 2 home runs versus the Dodgers, and then another one the next day. I mean, the dude is real. I'm really excited to see what he does this year, because I think he could be one of the more premier catchers. And I think it's especially good knowing that we have Ethan Salas coming up, that we could have him ease into a role without having to just be thrown in by AJ Preller like AJ Preller likes to do. And Soto, obviously no implication on this year, but Soto's resurgence, Soto started hitting. He stopped looking at he stopped starting to walk so much. He adjusted to the pitch clock, which he said was his excuse in the first half, and he started really knocking the ball all over the field, which is exactly what I felt like we hadn't gotten from Soto, was his all over the field. He wasn't hitting any home runs to the opposite field like he was in Washington, and he wasn't really, he didn't look like an elite offensive threat that can go anywhere on the field for power and contact. He just kind of looked like a don't hang it to this really strong Dominican dude because he'll send it to right. That's kind of what he looked like, and I mean, he was fun. He's a fun guy to watch, but I mean, he's a lot more fun when he's hitting to both sides of the field and playing defense, which he doesn't do. And then a big one, the Jerkson Profar signing. The Rockies dropped him. We put him on a minor league contract, brought him up right away. He didn't make a ton of offensive impact like he usually doesn't. I mean, he did. I mean, he was a solid leadoff guy when we had him, but I mean, obviously not doing a ton after being cut and put on a minor league contract. Wasn't hitting super hard, but Profar is a huge clubhouse guy, and he's one of my fan favorites, and I think I speak for a lot of fans, and that was a really cool thing to see him come back. And I think, you know, I know he's really tight with Ha-Seong Kim and probably, you know, Machado. Like, it was really cool to see them all doing their handshakes within the dugout. Super cool stuff. I'm glad that's one of the good Padres AJ moves right there. Getting Profar back. Oh, I wrote improved chemistry twice. That's funny. Grand slams and winning streaks. Yeah, last two things. Ha-Seong Kim had one, Soto had one, Gary Sanchez had one. Grand slams. It was Slam Diego, and we were like the last team to hit Grand Slam that year. I mean, it just kind of felt like that was just like indicative of how the season was going. Like, we're in Slam Diego with the best Slam Diego roster ever put together, and we can't hit a Grand Slam, but we can hit 5 solo shots and still lose because those were only 5 hits of the game. And Pedro Avila that's at least how it felt. This is a lot of how I felt. And yeah, winning streaks. The big one at the end, which is my fault that it didn't keep going, because they were at, I think, nine wins, and they played the Cardinals for the second game of the series. And of course, I went to that game, and I'm like, let's go, this was super cool, we're gonna win this game. I got all the way to the front of the barrel deck somehow, I don't know how. And we were watching with this other dude, and like, we were all going crazy, and because, you know, we had some late inning heroics going, and then we gave I think it was Scott Barlow gave up 3 runs in the top, and that spoiled that streak. So that's on me for going to the game and ruining the streak. I should have just stayed at home, but that was disappointing. Real quick, how the off-season changes are changing this dynamic. First thing, Melvin's out. I don't think that everybody was a huge Bob Melvin guy. I thought he was solid, okay. I do respect what he did with the Athletics and what he's done in his career. So I don't think that he was like a terrible coach or manager. Sorry, I don't think he's a terrible manager, but I think it's good that we have a change of seat. Like, we have a change of scenery. Schilt's more like a culture guy, a clubhouse guy, and Melvin's just a strategy guy. Melvin, remember his quote when we got all these guys was, "I'm just making lineups." Like, it's a little strategic. He's a little more strategic. I think Schilt's more of a culture clubhouse guy, which I think is going to help us. And another thing, prospects on the doorstep. This wasn't really in play at all last year because, you know, we really didn't have many guys coming up, and we never really, like, we had some guys come up, like Iggy Rosario, Azokar came back up, and a couple pitchers like Pedro Avila, who I'm excited for this year. But we've got like we got Jackson Merrill, Ethan Salas, Robbie Snelling, Drew Thorpe. What's the other dude's name? There's no way I forgot it. Snelling and what's the other guy's name? The other pitcher. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You guys know. I mean, what's his name? Alright, I got a top 30 prospects. Robbie Snelling, and Dylan Lesko. My bad. That's my bad. Dylan Lesko. And Samuel Zavala whenever he is able to come up. Sweet swinging lefty. Super excited for that dude. Looks like a really fun guy to watch. And so yeah, so you got 4, maybe even 5 guys, maybe even 6 guys if you're counting Zavala, who might not come up like until late in the season, might not even come up at all, but just the feeling that you know that you have prospects that could come up, like, is a cool feeling, and it's like different than it was last year. And I think that if they come up, they can make an impact on the culture and with their play. I think that's a really good thing we have going for us this year. And off-season changes, other ones. Not really off-season changes, but if Machado, Bogarts, and Tatis and Kim can stay at full health, and I know Machado's dealing with his elbow, but sorry, I just had surgery on the elbow. Machado, if they're, and I know he's dealing with that, but if they can just really stay off the IL, play a bunch of games, and really get hot, I think that's where the team can go the furthest, is if Machado and Tatis play almost all the games at their like fullest, highest level, which is MVP level, like MVP caliber. Because Machado got MVP votes the year Tatis couldn't play, 2022, and the year before Tatis got MVP votes, and then obviously all that stuff happened. So the possible, there's 2 sides to the Soto trade too. There's new faces, new life in San Diego. That could be good. That could be, I don't know much about the personality of those guys, how they'll help out the clubhouse, but I do know that the possible problem is that the guys are discouraged from the Soto trade, and they feel like the organization doesn't believe in them and doesn't believe in the all-in that they said they were going to be last year. And the other possible problem is with like poor starting pitching behind Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove and Michael King, or if Michael King is just terrible, which we don't think is going to happen, but it's possible. Or if there's injuries to Joe, Yu, and Michael, which would be terrible because we'd be thin. And little back-end production, guys like Kei Bisano, Jay Cronenworth, and Jose Azocar, they need to hit. And because with young team, young guys coming up, maybe Cal Mitchell and Jacob Marcy in the outfield, like, you've got to hit. Like, you don't have like you don't have any like 250 batting behind you. Like, you are the 250, 260 guys. Like, you need to be hitting. And so, yeah, the possible, the way this team makes the playoffs, possibly makes a run for the division, but I don't think that's likely with the Dodgers being the Dodgers. Campusano and Jay Cronenworth are legit. Cronenworth comes back. Campy keeps doing what he was doing and last year. Kim and Bogart's production stays up in the 270, 280 zone, and it stays like elite upper. They remain elite hitters, and which I think Bogarts can. I'm confident Bogarts will do. And Kim, even though Kim might even have a better season than Bogarts, just because he's still feels unproven at the plate after he came. He wasn't the best. He wasn't a great hitter in 2022, and he kind of ramped it up instantly in 2023. So I hope he keeps that up. I think he will. I believe in Kim. He's an awesome player. And like I said, Machado and Tatis both play at MVP levels. Like how Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts were both in the MVP conversation last year. Like, obviously not both gonna like win the MVP, but they're both in that top 5. Kind of like how Matt Olson and Ronald Acuna were. Like, it was Acuna, Betts, Olson, Freeman. 2 teams, but 4 players, and the best. Like, that's what I see. Like, if we're gonna like really make a run this year, that's what I need to see with Machado and Tatis. Like, I need to see them both in that, which is like, that's really hard to do, but I think that's that level that like top teams have. Like they have two guys who like you can't pitch around, like whatsoever. Anyways, yeah, the last part is the young guys have to come out. They have to come through in the back end of the rotation. I know we're gonna have a lot of guys trying out for that 4th and 5th spots. Matt Waldron, Pedro Avila, Drew Thorpe, possibly Vasquez. Stelling might come up. It's possible. You know, we're really hoping that we see some. We're really hoping that we can get some like very early on. We can decide. Oh, we've got these 5 guys, maybe even 6. I'm not sure how Shelton Niema want to pitch, but I'd assume 5 guys just because we don't have really a 6th option, good 6th option. But yeah, that's how I see this team winning, and that's all I got for today. A little short episode, but my power's out this morning. Got here a little late, so. Sorry for that. So I went a little quick today, but I think we got some good stuff in. So thank you, and I will be here tomorrow. No, I will see you Sunday morning in my room, because that'll be the first that is not in the car. And I appreciate this first week doing this. Really cool. I'm really excited, and we'll see y'all Sunday.